the first generation LT1 Corvette on today's show. You realize the name of this show is Muscle Car of the Week, and that a Corvette is technically more of a sports car than a muscle car. However, there are so many cool Corvettes in the brothers collection that we like to share them with muscle car enthusiasts as well, and that's what we've got this week. It's a 1971 Corvette with the LT1 350 in Bridgehampton blue. They changed a couple little things like parking light lenses and grille shapes and exhaust tips, but basically this is the same car. One thing that did change for 1971 was that all of the engines were detuned a little bit in an attempt to meet some new emissions requirements that came out by the federal government. So all of the GM V8 engines received a slightly lower compression ratio from 1970, which meant they had a little less power. They also changed the way they advertised power. It went from a gross number to a net number, which made those numbers fall a little bit more. But overall, the 1971 LT1 350 still made some good power numbers. This thing was rated at 330 horsepower at 5,600 RPM and 360 gross foot-pounds of torque at 4,000 RPM. So even though it's a slightly detuned version, this is still a very high-performance car. Typically on this show, when we lift the hood of a Corvette, we show you a big block V8. But today it's a little different. We're actually taking some time to show you a small block. But this is a pretty special engine. It's the LT1 350, which made 330 horsepower and 360 foot-pounds of torque, all from that little 350. And this particular one is so correct. I mean, this looks exactly like it did when it came from the factory, all the way down to the smog pump hanging on the front of it, which injected air into the exhaust as an early emissions control device. But at any rate, the small V8s were nice in a Corvette because they made the car a little bit lighter in the nose, which made them handle better. For 71, the base model still had a 350 cubic inch V8, but it was rated at 270 horsepower. And beyond that, you could go all the way up to the LS6 454, which was rated much higher. But the trade-off with the 454 cars is that they added a bunch of weight, and it translated to being another 200 and some pounds of additional weight right at the nose of the car. And of course that affects the way the car handles. So if you were the person who wanted to take this Corvette out and really drive it fast on twisty roads, the LT1, with its lighter weight but still ample power, was a great way to go. The performance parts on the LT1 consisted of a Holley 4-barrel carburetor sitting on top of an aluminum intake manifold. You'll also notice the aluminum finned valve covers, which were there for style. The cylinder heads had oversized valves. The camshaft was a higher lift version than the base 350, and it also had solid mechanical valve lifters, and these cars breathed through 2-inch exhaust. In the GM alphabet soup of engine codes, LT1 is now on its third go-around. We initially saw it in the early 70s on cars like this one. Then it came back in the mid-90s on full-size cars like the Impala SS. And today, you can get a new high-tech direct injected LT1 on the C7 Corvette. Another change for 71 was making the 4-speed transmission the base model manual transmission. In 70, you could get these cars with a 3-speed, but only 1% of Corvette customers bought the 3-speed. Most people opted for the 4-speed manual. If you bought the LT1 350, you could not get an automatic. It was always a 4-speed manual trans. Of course, Corvettes were sports cars, so they were known for their great handling. These cars had 4-wheel independent suspension, 4-wheel disc brakes, rally wheels with F70 15-inch tires all the way around, and the LT1 cars had a slightly different spring, but they all had sway bars and specially valve shock absorbers to be an outstanding handling car right from the showroom floor. This car was built in February of 1971 at the St. Louis Corvette plant, and it's finished in code 979 Bridgehampton blue with a blue vinyl interior. And this dark blue is kind of an upscale color, and of course it's named after that exclusive piece of real estate in the New York Hamptons today, where you'll find people like Beyonce and Madonna living. So I don't know how many celebrities would go road racing around the Hamptons with their new Corvette, but that's what this color was named after. New Corvettes were never cheap. This car sticker priced at $5,496 for the base model Corvette. And then, of course, you could add the option packages. The LT1 added $483, which was a bump in the cost, but not as stiff as the LS6 454 V8, which added $1,221. So the LT1 offered modest performance gains without the big, stiff, heavy price tag. So once you get it dialed in, it's actually a really comfortable car. Just got to blow the T-tops off, grab the 4-speed handle, put your foot to the floor, and go have a good time. We're going to have more of this car on our website at MuscleCarOfTheWeek.com. Maybe we see you on Facebook. We'll have another cool car next week on Muscle Car of the Week. Sorry.